I'm not very natural at this at all. All right.
It's fine. It looks great, so don't worry about it.
Okay, so in 2017, I was given the opportunity to attend a parent forum where meet other parents and find out about the Better Start Southend project. Didn't know anything about it. Didn't know anything. So what happened? Went along, met some other parents. All had children under the age of 4. We would chat about things that were happening or projects that they might do. We were listening to other parents' ideas. And it was there that I got involved in being more regular and coming along and enjoying that experience. And it was off the back of that, the engagement team had approached me and said, actually, we have this training opportunity for that we could offer you that would allow you to be more involved. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not doing anything with my time, this could be good. So I trained to be a parent champion, and in 2017 was the first year that they were doing that. So I think I was maybe the 3rd cohort of parent champions trained, and from that opportunity, we were able to attend meetings, work on projects that had a benefit to, or had the potential to have a benefit to our families in Southend. And I got to work on various projects, and it was really great, wonderful experience. And I did that for a couple of years. So in 2019, my daughter turned 4, so I could really be part of that structure anyway. But an opportunity a little while later to be part of the engagement team, part-time role came out, and I went, actually, I feel more confident about going for something like that, so I did. And I was lucky enough to get that opportunity and be part of that team. So being on the other side, being so involved as a parent champion, and then being involved to support new parent champions was great. And I did that for a couple of years. And then at the time, we also had our team lead at the time stepped into a different role. I moved to ABSS, and I saw another opportunity to become the team lead. And actually, I was ready for that, and I've been doing that ever since. And we'll see it to the end now. So it's been quite a journey. So I'm quite experienced at learning and confidence for myself.
Fantastic. I'm stuck now. I don't know what to say. I want to say what a fantastic journey, actually, and it shows, doesn't it, that you know, one thing that being involved in work like this can have for parents is that it gives them opportunities, and it means that all of that experience and that lived experience of living here in Southend becomes part of the actual programme, doesn't it? But there's no point in me saying that because he's going to cut that one out. Anyway, so I've got to think of a question off the top of my head. So, what has co-production meant for you in a Better Start Southend? I felt like a newsreader then. What's it meant for you?
What's it meant for me? I suppose in the beginning, and a bit like it's been spoken about before, that when you're a parent champion, you might not actually recognise what co-production is. You know, so it's about that structure around it that you don't see, but as it said before, it's being connected from an idea's birth, the conception of that idea, and being part of those conversations that see it naturally grow organically. People are passionate about seeing its outcome collectively. You know, it goes on a journey, and so I saw that when I worked on the mascot project, and that was great. But I feel really lucky that I also got to be part of that experience as an engagement officer, supporting other parent champions in the creation of the storybook, the PIP storybook, and that I would see was a lovely piece of co-production, co-creation, where I was able to use how I felt as a parent champion, being part of that process, to them, how can I, as a professional, make sure that this process does what it needs to do as well. So what does it mean to me? I think it brings value, and it brings I'm struggling with words. It brings value, and it brings quality and sorry, I'm really struggling with my words, but yeah, no, it brings value and quality to something that is important to those who are a part of that process.
And does it bring value more widely in Southend, do you think?
Well, so I guess yes, it would, wouldn't it? So if it's done, if the process has been meaningful, that's the one. So if the process has been meaningful and that quality has been there all the way along, the legacy that's left behind means that it's more sustainable and it stays. It becomes part of that. I really felt that with the mascot project, and even with the Pip storybook. If I think about all the processes we went through in writing and each page, and there was a lot of work and love that went in a collective group together to create those things, to make sure that it did all the things it needed to do, not just one of the things or some of it, or that would do. It was very meaningful, and I think that's so. Co-production for me has to be meaningful. It has to be with that group. It has to, you have to make sure that people are connecting to it. Yeah.
And is it straightforward though? Is it quite easy to do, co-production?
No. Co-production is not easy to do.
Start again, sorry.
Co-production, I've always said it, co-production is a really easy word to say. It's a much harder thing to do. And I think once people have that in their mindset from the beginning, I think you understand that actually it takes the pressure off a little bit. Go, actually, we don't have to change the world. Maybe it won't be co-production, maybe it'll be something else. But the fact that you set out on a path to try and achieve something is really important, and that's probably the important thing. The co-production bit is if the time and the space and all those other elements can come together collectively to create that thing. So yeah, I think so. No, not easy to do, but
what are your top tips for making it happen?
Top tips for making co-production happen. I think you need time. You need the right people in the room.
Who are the right people?
Who are the right people? The people who are part of the initial conversation, maybe. So the ones who might have sparked the idea. So if it's, and I can only give examples on some of the projects I work. So something I haven't spoken about is Parks Project. Again, that came from a group of parents locally who lived in that area, who had a shared knowledge, experience, or who wanted better outcomes, and actually said, how can we make this happen? And maybe they couldn't as that group, but then who could we connect with to make those things happen? So you start with that idea, and you bring in people that can support those decision making or facilitate those spaces or create that process, but then you all go on that journey together.
Is there anything you do differently around co-production if you were starting again back in 2017, either in your perspective as a parent or in your perspective as a professional working within that space?
If possible, could you say, if I had to start it again, and then whatever?
Yes or no?
I feel really privileged that I've been lucky enough to be involved in maybe 2 or 3 really good pieces of work, and I think on reflection maybe that's rare to have good, really good pieces of co-production work. You can collaborate and co-design and you can do all those things, but that co-production stuff is much harder to do. I think something we spoke about a lot is the word co-production gets overused quite a lot. So is talking about the informing people about what those differences are and bringing value to other things as well. There's a lot of folks, co-produce this, we'll co-produce that, we'll do, but actually there's a lot of value in the other things, and I think working towards co-production is the goal, but there are other places you can sit that could have equal value, and I think so I think if the one thing I could do differently is actually, if it's not co-production, bring value to what it is, and actually say, actually, this isn't going to be co-production, we'd love it to be, but we can't for whatever those constraints are, but this is what we can do, and we want you to help us with that, maybe.
Sounds sensible. Anything else? I'm always on. Always nice to get the.
Yeah, go.
You know, personally to you, you've been on this amazing 8-year journey so far, or whatever. Yeah. It's just interesting to how you feel about that journey, what you've got out of it. So that kind of thing, really. If you could talk on a personal level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. If I reflect back from when I first got involved in just attending parent forums and being around other families, if I think just before that period, I'd been a mum for 5 years. I hadn't gone back to work. I don't have any family living locally. I needed something. I didn't know that I needed something, if that makes sense. This opportunity, it's like, filled a space, and it ignited. I'm quite creative, and I really enjoyed talking creatively about ideas. My new project was my children. I had never had children before. This is so now I could do things that would support my children or bringing better outcomes for my children. So it hand in hand, there was something I could do alongside my family, with my family, with Emily, who's my youngest, and that brought lots of enthusiasm and energy. And so I set about creating things. I loved the fact that we, originally from London, but I live by the sea now. I had a great little local park that needed some TLC. How could we do it? I felt inspired, and I felt passionate, and I felt supported and encouraged to feel that way. Not like, oh, you can't do that, you mustn't do that. I felt, so I felt some freedom, and I think when you become a volunteer, there is some freedoms in that. You're outspoken, you're passionate about something, and you're allowed to say those things in a really nice way. So for me, it really ignited a confidence, self-confidence. I'm not a natural in front of a camera or speaking, and over the years, I hope that I've got a bit better at it because I feel more comfortable in those things. And even moving out of that journey and what can I do next, and the engagement role came up, I could do that. I could easily do that. Well, no, not easily, but I could be part of that. Definitely, I could be part of that engagement team and pick up something that I knew. I was informed about the project. I knew about the areas. I knew all the stuff already. So I was like, what else? Well, what could I do? So, so it was empowering. So being part of that project empowered me and built my self-confidence, and allowed me to be creative and supportive, and then learn some new skills. So it being an engagement role, that is different. You're on the other side now, and you're supporting families in lots of things that you wouldn't see as a volunteer on the other side. So that there's been a different type of learning along that side. So, but still passionate about parents having a voice, being part of those conversations, seeing change happen.
Would you recommend that journey to other organisations or other parents?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be the only parent who said, I wish all parents could have this experience. You know, I think having children is a vulnerable time, you know, and you lose your self-confidence, your focus is on your children, and being given just that small moment to think about yourself and feel empowered to have some control is great for you, but then reflects great for your children, because actually my children got a lot out of seeing me do things, be part of projects, and they would come along to stuff, or they would be involved, or I would go back and talk to them about it, and they've seen that journey, and even in my work I go, oh, we're doing this now, you know, so they're interested. So yes, I think it's I feel privileged to have been part of this journey.
Fantastic. Right.
Fabulous.